So hello and welcome once again to New Junction. Today you join me for something hopefully rather interesting because we go up a level and we start to tackle the main line. Right, so here we are at my test corner for this method. Now, as you can see, as before, I have placed a higher level. So basically, I've just repeated the process from a previous episode for the heritage line, and I've just made it a bit taller for what will be the main line. Now, to test that this theory worked, the height was right, etc., I cut some crude supports for it, just out of scrap pieces of wood. Now, you can probably tell they're not very straight, they're not very square. This isn't the final result I really wanted. However, I decided to improve my method and create a jig to make the supports, because in theory they all have to be the same size, and I suppose trying to ever improve my woodworking skills. So this is a version that I have made on my new jig, and as you can see, it's much straighter, a bit smaller, a bit more compact, and dare I say it, probably a bit stronger and a bit more longer lasting. Not that you'll see it once the scenery's all over the place, but I know it's there, and well, I want to take a bit of pride in this build. So let me take you over to my jig now, and I'll show you how I created the supports. I've brought you to the opposite side of the layout where I'm making a lovely mess, and as you can see, I've got the latest batch of my supports ready to go, and they look roughly the same size. In fact, they are all the same height, which is the important factor for basically the support. Now, out of scrap, for example, this piece of bottom plywood is 18mm thick, is actually a spare tile from the garden railway outside, and then these bits of wood are my offcuts. Very simply, I have been a bit nuts with the circular saw, and I've cut down lots of timber. So my supporting pieces, which are roughly 40, I think something silly like 43mm by 18, slot nicely in, just so they stay put. And then I've got my 147mm by 18 ply to go on the top. And very simply, that's my jig. And what I'll do next is taking my handy drill. I will drill 3 holes to screw it in vertically into one piece, so then I end up with something like that, an L shape. I'll turn that over and it'll be like that, and then I will attach the bottom brace, which will end up being the top, to the end there like that, and it's as simple as that. And just repeat the process and Bob's your uncle. So I'm going to do this one sped up for you now so you can see how I do it, and then we'll get on with putting them in place and putting the tops on. So here we are back on that main corner. I've just taken the temporary boards off the top of this heritage line here, and as you can see, I've got a lovely class 20 running the current service, although this will be hidden under the current guise. I'm just placing in the newly constructed supports to where I think they'll need to go. So definitely at baseboard edges, that's for certain. I'm trying to imagine my plywood tops are 4x2, so the supports really should be, to start with, in the 4 corners as they go. Now this plan will change because we've got something rather obvious to change in a moment, but if I put the first board on with the new supports, nice and level. What I'll do is I'll continue onto this board now, and I'll do exactly the same again, and then I'll show you the changes I now have to make to the heritage line. So what I've done here is I have laid out spare pieces of track just to simulate where the new junction lines will go. So this isn't the end result, however, it's just to mark out roughly where things will be. So if you imagine the new junction will be roughly here, and then you'll have 2 tracks going off on the outer curve and then 1 or 2 on the inner curve. You can already see that's cut my heritage line off. There'll be no trimming down of these boards, unlike the heritage line. So what I need to do is, in essence, move the heritage line, which is currently, as you can see, right in the middle. I need it to come a much sharper angle, so it goes underneath the main lines, and then it can come out this side and go around, so we can see it on the inside as well as on the front side further round. So where you can't necessarily see it on the front here, because this will be all scenery, you will be able to see it come from the front, pass underneath the main lines, and then it'll have its own scene on this side of the layout. That's the plan anyway. So the tops have to come back off, and we're going to move the heritage line boards. I said it was going to get complicated, didn't I? So I've come to the outside edge of the layout because I think this shows the next steps a bit easier, helps you visualise what I'm trying to do. So this is the heritage line, and I think 2 things need to happen. One is here it needs to go further back as we're looking at it towards this edge, and it also, this curve needs to come closer in as well. Now, moving this back isn't such a problem, because that just means that basically further down here it needs to come at a bit more of an angle towards the back. This curve, however, simple as it is just to notch it down a bit, it does push the layout this way, so or the track plan that way, so I will have to try and steal some space from the other end. Now, luckily we can do that, because currently, as you can see, the engine shed area takes up far too much room on the layout. So from the joining gap back there, there is a full yard length of track before it actually starts. We can get rid of that, swap that round, and we'll get the engine shed starting pretty much on the gap. Here we have 2 express points, and we're going to get rid of those for one of the new Code 75 double slips that have arrived. And that'll save a lot of room and basically free up enough room. The station has the same problem, so behind all my mess, oh, there we go, there's another yard before the station starts. So where the, let's have a look, first coach is, that's where the station area starts on that back side. So the whole track plan for the heritage line can just go down by a yard, and that will bring this curve, or allow this curve, to come closer to this edge, and then we'll push it further in on this side. Basically, so we can see a bit more of it underneath the main line section, and of course it won't follow the same path as the main line, so hopefully it'll provide a nice bit of variety. So it's time to get on with that, and we will adjust the heritage line to suit the main line. So there we go. You see, by moving the point further down the layout, you still have all the engine shed, same length of track, except you free up this entire board. 4 foot I've gained of running space. And of course I'll trim this piece of ply down so it's just the track bed. And then I don't know if you can also tell, but I've been working on the Heritage Line curve, which is now much tighter. So basically there, that edge there used to be there. So now it cuts in and it actually comes across the triangle board just there. Well, I thought it was worth the effort. Lulu, on the other hand, probably doesn't. Dear Lulu. Say hello to the viewers. Hello, viewers. Not interested. Right, so I think it's time now I got on with laying the track back on the Heritage Line again, but properly. And with that, we're back. Now, as you can see, we have Elizabeth II, formerly known as Tor Valley, running around the Heritage Line, which has been completely stripped down since the last clip, completely relayed, and hopefully the improvements are there. So now I can get on with what we're actually meant to be getting on, which is the start of the second level. Just to run you through what I've done, because that turned into a monumental task. Pretty much all of the Heritage Line had to come back up and then get relayed. I've added in the loop that will be hidden from scene, and it does hide a train of the right length. So that means, in theory, I can have a train leave the station, disappear off scene while in garage mode, and I suppose it adds a bit more play value to the layout. All the points have had to come up, and holes have been put in for, because they're in their rough final positions, holes have been put in for point motors, and of course for the frog wires for the electrical side. Now, I have opted to pin the track as before. I was aiming to glue it, but I don't know, I feel more comfortable with the track pinned to the surface in the current state. Next time I will evaluate that will be when it comes to ballasting. So I've made loads of these, and the time has come to start distributing them around the layout and getting the second level on. So very quickly, this layout is going to change before your eyes. And there we have it. As you can see, the boards all the way around me are up. There is one missing just here. However, that's easily remedied. I just need to cut that down. Now, as you can see, I've had to put the camera right against the garage door and quite high up, just to be able to show you some form of the scale of the project at hand. Now, as you can see currently, it's starting to look very much like the idea I had on paper, except it's becoming reality now as the multiple levels start to come up. So in effect, it's almost a 3-tiered layout currently, with the base, the Heritage, and then the mainline. All will become clear how we're going to merge all these without it looking ridiculous in future episodes. You will notice, of course, I have put down some Code 75 concrete sleeper track on the main line. And believe it or not, just there is New Junction. I won't say it anymore. It's finally here. The junction is there where the split is. And when I laid the track down, I put it down as according to the previously shown track plan, and I thought, you know what, I've got a bit of track to play with. I'm just gonna feel it out around this corner and see what 2 double tracks, or splitting into 2 double tracks, actually goes like. Is it too much for the layout? Isn't it too much for the layout? Because one advantage to splitting for double track on each side there is, of course, I can have a section on this side, which is a 4-track mainline, which is the epitome of an East Coast mainline running scene, because I very much want to recreate this image. And there are some layout benefits as well, so I'll be able to store trains just the way I've got the loop underneath this board now, where the slack's just coming out. That's a storage loop. I'll be able to store trains in garage mode again on this main line. Do let me know down below in the comments, is this a good idea? Should I have a 4-track main line? Should it split into 2 double tracks? Or is the original plan better? Or should I really downscale and go to a double track main line the whole way around? Is less more in this instance? I look forward to seeing some of the comments down below and seeing what you, of course, suggest. Now, I did throw this over to the Patreon channel for New Junction, and it was a resounding vote for the double track and the 4-track scene, so that's them spoken. Now, if I bring you closer to New Junction, as you can see, it's a very simple combination of 2 express left-hand points, a cross point, and very simple, really. However, I've done something different this time, due to, I suppose, the nature of the current climate, shall we say. Time gone by, I'd have just bought myself a handful of points and sized up which ones fit. However, Pico do offer, I mean, a lot of people know this, but Pico do offer a very good facility where if you go on to their actual website, you can download print-offs. In fact, I've got some as they come, like this, print-offs of all the points and all their track work that are roughly to scale. They're almost to scale. There's a lovely ruler, I should hold that the right way around, a ruler measurement on the bottom just to see if they've printed to scale or not. However, this is a very good option if you want to play around with point work without having to physically buy the point first, only to then have it left over at the end. I thought that was quite useful. I've seen people do it before, but I think currently, because I'm basically, as I said, sizing out this layout without any real plan, it's a good tip. So on this side, obviously, these are bullhead points, which I'll use somewhere on the heritage line, but I've not actually got any points for the main line yet. So this side and the opposite side, I'm using the paper printouts where possible, and they are proving very useful actually. So hopefully that's a top tip for you. So one thing I've been asked a few times on my videos, particularly on this build series, is what's all this play value lark I keep going on about. Now, although we're trying to create real railways, there is obviously compromise, and of course it is a model railway to be played with and enjoyed. So it's a case of, when I laid, for example, the heritage line, it was a single track loop. Passing loop was at the station. However, for a model railway, you could argue it's a bit dull. So what I always say is lay the track as you want it, and then physically get the controllers out, get the trains out as soon as possible, get them running, and you will have an idea of any tweaks you need to do, such as my slight extension of the double track into the loop behind me, because of course, because of that, it gives me a bit of play area so that I can run both trains briefly, and I just get a bit more play value with it. It's not too regimented then, because the trains, one can depart before the other one's physically got to the station, and it just adds a bit more realism, a bit more fun, and of course having 2 trains running on what is a single track line is quite satisfying really. So that's why I've done that. So hopefully that makes sense. Basically get your trains running as soon as possible at any stage, and see what improvements you can make to make your train set more fun to run. Whether that be, change that point, whether that be extra sidings where at first you didn't think you'd need any, or longer sidings, things like that. All these little things you'll uncover only by physically getting the trains running. Hopefully that made sense. And there we go. We are at the end of yet another episode in the build of my new layout, New Junction. Next time, of course, we have something rather exciting to look forward to, well, particularly for me, and I might actually show you something useful in the video for once, because I'm installing these, the DCC Concepts Cobalt IP digital point motors. Now, I've had a lot of questions regarding how I will get these underneath my boards, which are yay tall off the baseboard, but I have a cunning plan and I'll be showing you that in the next episode. I also want your feedback. Bullhead Code 75 track is sleeper spaced accurately, whereas the concrete sleeper track isn't. It's close together like traditional Code 100. Now, I have been sent from Steve at Railway Laser Lines this, I don't know if you can see it, this sleeper spacing tool, which is basically a 40 centimeter spacing tool to help you if you cut these sleepers and then space them out and glue them out. Time consuming, however, quite accurate. I want your opinion down below in the comments. Should I bother? Shouldn't I bother? Let me know. So all that leaves me to say now is thank you very much for watching. If you subscribed, great. Thank you very much for being part of the team. If not, why not? Just hit that button down below and you'll never miss a video. And of course, thank you very much to the channel patrons, those that go a bit further and of course get all the behind the scenes images and videos. Right, I'm going to get on with the electrics now and probably bore you to death with another video very soon. But I think it's time to take Lulu in, who's just there, never left my side for the whole build. Poor thing, trying to sleep while I'm circular sawing all this timber. But I've enjoyed it if nothing else. So thank you very much for watching. Take care and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Oh, and last thing before I go, some of you may be thinking, why has he got a pink steam engine running on his layout? Now, this here is repainted Tor Valley. We had it done for Hornby magazine. Some of you may have seen it on the cover of the latest issue. Of course, one of my big videos over on the Hornby magazine channel was I had unprecedented access to film the real Elizabeth II, formerly Tor Valley, and it is roughly that colour. So I had great fun filming that, and it's on YouTube right now. In fact, you can see it right here. So make sure you go and do that. I'll see you next time.